do is because of volunteers and donors putting on events like you. So thank you so much for having us. There's a couple things I want to tell you about. I'm going to keep it really informal, and I'd like you guys to ask as many questions as you want. I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview of what JDRF is, what it does, and the impact that we're having on the community right now. And then I'd really like to hear from you on any questions that you have. So JDRF is the third largest non-governmental funder, is the largest non-governmental funder of type 1 diabetes research. So two organizations in front of us are the Chinese government and the US government. We're the nonprofit writing right behind them, so that's something that we're really proud about. Last year alone, we raised $200 million towards our organization, and 92 million of that goes directly towards research. And then a fact that we're really proud of in the Greater Bay Area chapter is that of that 92 million, 17 million of that is going to research funded in the Bay Area. So Stanford, UCSF, hospitals in the area are really getting the wealth of our fundraising dollars, and I think that's really exciting because it's in our own backyard. Our Greater Bay Area chapter is responsible for raising about $6.5 million each year. A lot of that comes, 1.5 million of it comes from our 4 fundraising walks. We have a recently rebranded One Walk program. So my position, I'm in charge of the Silicon Valley Walk, the Monterey Walk, and then I also do a bike riding program and third-party events such as this. We have 2 other walks in East Bay and San Francisco, and then our other 2 fundraising events are our gala, which brings in about $1.5 million, and then we have 2 golf events, one in East Bay and then one happening next Friday at Half Moon Bay, Ritz-Carlton. Let's see. So because of third-party events in our chapter, third-party events such as this bring in about $75,000 for us annually. Because of third-party events, we've been connected to so many different volunteers and gotten more connected to the community, and we're just really proud of the fact that we have that opportunity and thankful for organizations such as yours. It's been great so far to work with Mike and Aaron on the Color Run. We have a young leadership committee, which is composed of 21 to 40-year-olds who are just getting started in the philanthropy world, and they are just thrilled about the Color Run. I was just reading an article recently that nationally fundraising walks are taking a downturn in gross revenue, but the spike is happening in endurance events such as Color Runs and Tough Mudders and events that have more draw to participants. So JDRF in the Greater Bay Area hasn't done anything like this previously.
Really?
Yeah, so we're really excited about this opportunity because this is the hot fundraising thing right now that studies are showing. I want to open it up for questions.
How did you get started in
nonprofits or JDRF?
Both.
Both? Okay. So I went to school at University of San Diego. I graduated with a degree in business management and nonprofit management. After that, I worked for a small theater arts organization. Their budget was like $400,000. I realized then that arts education wasn't my passion, and I wanted to get more involved in social services and healthcare. So I switched over to a foster youth agency. I was there for a couple years, and then as of last year, I moved up to the Bay Area from San Diego and found JDRF, and I have realized how lucky I am to be working at JDRF because their mission is so focused and they have such a wide net that they cast for the research that they're funding, and then volunteers that I get to work with on a daily basis.
On the researchers, do they come to you or do you go to them?
There's certain criteria for what we choose to fund research. We do get requests, but also JDRF, and I'll pass out these info sheets and it'll tell you really specifically of the 7 key therapy areas that we're focused on. But basically JDRF has identified 7 key areas that we think are going to cure type 1 diabetes. And so anything focused in those areas, we are actively seeking researchers that fit that criteria and want to donate to.
Second question, do you have like support groups for the families, like Mike's example of the 2-year-old, you know, something like that? You know, you go talk to people, well, yeah, my kid, you know, 10 years ago was diagnosed and this is what we did, so and so.
Yeah, so the main way that we actually get in touch and outreach to people is through our Bag of Hope. So when children or adults are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, the hospital, we're connected with tons of hospitals in the area. They know of JDRF and they know about our Bag of Hope, so they connect the family to us. And we give them a Bag of Hope, which in the kids' case, it's, I should have brought one, it's a little teddy bear named Rufus. And there's a book and it talks about his day-to-day life with diabetes. And then from that, we have mentors that connect with the family so that they have that extra support when they leave the hospital, because it's a huge adjustment for the families to deal with. And then in addition to that, we do offer support groups. That's not our main focus, but we've realized recently in the past decade that that's what our constituents are asking for. So we do have some support groups in the area through partnerships with hospitals. And then we also partner a lot with CARDIA. It's another type 1 diabetes organization. For example, they are hosting on this Sunday, if you guys are interested, a Bay Area Diabetes Research Summit at UCSF. And so what we do for the research side of it, they really help support the support group and outreach side of it. Yeah.
Is type 1 diabetes primarily genetically caused, or is there some environmental impact also?
I'm going to say unknown, because that's one of the things that they're really researching.
Well,
they don't know the why. It's because it's an autoimmune disease. They don't know why the body attacks beta cells in your body. I will tell you that there are a lot of families I deal with that have multiple kids with type 1 diabetes, and so to me that tells me that there is some genetic factor, but there's new research. I was just at a research update a couple weeks ago that talked about the microbiome in your gut and the fact that it could be, one study says, is something as simple as vitamins, extra vitamins in your milk that could eradicate type 1 diabetes.
What are the ages, the onset, typical ages that
Typical, most are diagnosed before their 20s. I would say most of the families that I deal with, probably elementary school aged. And then, but it affects adults as well. About 50% of our staff have type 1 diabetes. One of them, she's about 40 right now, she was diagnosed when she was 25. So it can happen at any time or at any stage in your life.
So I just assumed that type 1 diabetes was genetic, but it may not be?
Correct.
Really?
And there.
So what is the consensus now as to whether it is or is not?
JDRF doesn't really take a stance on, because they're still discovering that it could be your body. You can have the genetic makeup for it, and then environmental factors can contribute to that. So there's not a firm, easy answer on that one, unfortunately.
Is it increasing or decreasing?
Increasing.
Wow.
By far, yes.
So is the treatment similar to type 2?
Yes and no. So in type 1 diabetes, your body is completely insulin deficient. So you are required to either have insulin injections or have a pump attached to your body. With type 2 diabetes, you can be insulin, and I'm not sure of the exact terminology for type 2 diabetes, but basically type 1 diabetes, you cannot survive if you're not getting insulin daily. Type 2 diabetes, health-related reasons and the way you eat can help the process.
So So I know someone with type 2
Uh-huh.
who almost self-cured, like
Uh-huh.
they're in good shape, because they changed their lifestyle. and,
Correct.
You know, just eat really great and exercise.
Yeah.
But that doesn't say if there's type 1.
Correct,
apparently.
no. Your body's attacked the cells inside and there's no recovering them.
Are there other types of diabetes?
We like to say that there's a type 3 diabetes for family members who take care of the type 1 diabetics.
I see.
The support group diabetics. Any other questions you guys have?
So in the old days, the type 1 people just had a short lifespan, I guess.
There was a lot of more complications than there are today because of the technology that's out there.
So are you attributing the increase to more detection, or are you attributing it to environmental issues? I mean, assuming that it's not just genetic, it's got to be something else then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the answer as to what's causing the increase?
I wouldn't say more detection because I think it was just not as easily, but it was detected previously just as well. Once it was detected, the process of living day to day was so much harder than it is now. And they want to know the answer of the why it's becoming so much more prevalent.
Where's your chapter based and where is is there a foundation based in one particular area?
So our headquarters nationally is based in New York. There's about 200 chapters across the U.S. And a couple internationally. Our Greater Bay Area chapter is based in the Financial District in San Francisco. And then we cover all the way up to North Bay, East Bay, down to past Monterey. And then another chapter, Sacramento chapter, does kind of like the North Inland Territory.
And I got a follow-up. By any chance, are you guys going to send an email out to maybe your
Yes,
network?
we are.
Just to
So
kind of
it's
bring
slated
awareness?
to go in our April newsletter. Our newsletter goes out to about 50,000 constituents in our area. We're doing a big social media push, and we're really targeting the Silicon Valley area. And it's nice that I cover third-party events because I also work closely with a lot of our Silicon Valley donors, so that they're in our backyard.
That's great.
So the growth rate on this thing over, let's say, the last 50 years,
Yeah, and let me get you, we have a statistic in our fact sheet here.
there's got to be something trigger.
So right now, the number that we're quoting is 1.25 million Americans are living with type 1 diabetes. And
Today.
they expect that to double within the next 15 years.
And so it has doubled over the last 50 years or something?
I have to check on that, I can get back to you.
Okay.
Is there any ethnic group that is immune?
No,
So just straight across the board?
yeah.
Any groups that have more incidents of it?
Not that I will research that and get back to you guys, because I'm not sure on that. I don't think that there's one specific that we could target. Yeah, it's pretty across the board. Yeah.
I can't remember, I've been sitting here trying to remember, I can't remember, so I'm going to say this anyway. But driving here this morning, I heard a news report that something like 48% of the adult population is either pre-diabetic or diabetic type 2.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's California or the US, and you may know. But it is, I know that type 1 and type 2 are very, very different, I understand that. It's almost impossible for me to believe that even with autoimmune diseases, there's not something environmental that's contributing. There's something that triggers it.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe a proclivity or genetic or whatever. And so it just seems to me that
Yeah.
I know they're not related, but there's got to be
Yeah.
something in the environment.
And a lot of people who are living with type 1 diabetes, they're also facing other autoimmune diseases. You're way more likely to get celiac disease if you have type 1 diabetes. So there's some kind of trigger there that is connected.
Any relationship to lupus in that thing?
I don't know. And I'm sorry I don't have more of the scientific answers for you.
You guys emphasize on type 1.
Correct.
Do you overlap to type 2 at all?
Yes, because it's been said that whatever's going to cure type 1 is going to lead to a cure for type 2 and other autoimmune diseases as well. So the population that is struggling with type 1 diabetes is a lot smaller than type 2 diabetes. But the research that's being done to cure type 1 diabetes will ultimately overflow to type 2 and then other autoimmune diseases as well.
Just remember alcohol.
Rubbing real good.
Any other questions for Heather? All right, thank you very much.
Some handouts here I'll pass around, and then I'll leave my card for you guys as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Cool.
Here's from our website now, so you can see the video that's up on the website. This is where you also will register. If you're registering for a group, there's a place where you click on a group, and it says join a group. Otherwise, you can set up your own group. Okay? If you have a storefront or some place to post it, I made some posters. So the posters are basically a copy of the postcard. Okay, so if you have a place to put one of these up, or know someplace where you can get somebody to put one up, I just have a few here. These aren't the official posters, I just made these a little bit in advance. Okay?
Wow. Nice job. Nice job.
We have a board meeting coming up after the meeting, and then we'll have our conference call with Aaron at 9:15. Any other business that you'd like to go over? Skip?
Yeah, I would like to. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about Bob Eli's passing, and I wanted to remind